The last great Coliseum is the first stop in the Xfinity Series playoffs, but it's also the last stop for 4 drivers in the Cup Series. It's Bristol, baby, and we're breaking it down right now. Welcome into America's NASCAR show. This is Around the Track. Gabe McDonald, America's crew chief Larry McReynolds with you. Larry, the term mosh pit is used when we go to Bristol. You ready for this weekend?
I am ready. We love Bristol, but we especially love it in the fall when we go there on a Saturday night, our last Saturday night race of the year.
Going to be very fun. And Larry isn't the only celeb on the show. Today we're going one-on-one with the regular season champ as well. Hendrick Motorsports' William Byron. But let's not waste any more time. We're dropping the green flag on the track. That's from 2 states, actually. Thunder Valley never saw higher stakes or higher bankings. Drivers will have an easier time finding grip than they did back in the summer. But as the race rages on, it'll be a fight to find it in the right groove to get speed. Speaking of, every driver we talk to feels like Bristol is a bit of a sick carnival ride, so to speak. While top speeds here average out around 140 miles per hour on a good day, it feels like it's 200 because of whip and force around turns. Pit times are critical, folks. One bad stop, and you could be down 3, maybe even 4 laps off the leader. And if you're looking for fireworks, well, you'll get them here in the form of bumper-to-bumper pushes. Expect more than a push than from the lower-ranked playoff cars because it's do or die this weekend at Bristol.
It's a difficult racetrack for the cars mechanically. I mean, I don't think we've gone to Bristol once with this car and not had some sort of a steering failure or whatever else. I mean, I've had a few power steering issues, and we've had some on our team, other teams. That and just the fact that, you know, if one car wrecks 20 cars ahead of you, it could block the track and your race could be over too. So
just never know what can happen, you certainly think that to win that race, you're going to have to be aggressive as a driver, and certainly you don't want to have to think about the repercussions of missing the next round at Bristol because it could hamper your ability to win that race.
Let's go ahead and do some track trends. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson are the kings of this place. They have a combined 6 of the last 9 Bristol races, including each of the last 4 races, with each winning twice. The spring Bristol race this year had just 4 lead changes, the fewest for a Bristol race since August of 2008. Just last year we had more than 50, which is wild. Now don't expect to see much of the yellow this weekend. Last year's fall Bristol race had 36 laps of caution, the fewest for a race here since April of 1984 when it was just 18. Experience counts as well. The last great Coliseum, each of the last 23 races at Bristol has been won by a driver with at least 200 Cup Series starts. Well, America's crew chief Larry McReynolds, you've had triumph at Bristol. You've also cursed its name. However, it is always a fan favorite. It's Bristol, baby, but now we're going there at night. A lot different and, of course, a lot more at stake this weekend.
Yeah, and you know, when we think about Bristol, we think about a lot of cautions. We think about a lot of cars falling out. But, Gabe, you kind of touched on it there. You go back to the spring race, we only had 3 cautions. That final stage of 250 laps, we went caution-free. It's rare we get into a green flag pit stop there because the fuel window is about 170 to 175 laps. We had green flag stops. You talked about one bad stop. That's kind of been the theme of these playoffs, is a lot of issues, a lot of penalties, a lot of mistakes on pit road. You do that under a late race green flag stop, your day will actually be over for sure at winning the race.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the playoffs. We have a few guys for sure in the round of 12 in the Cup Series. Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin, phenomenal performances at Darlington and Gateway respectively. But now the real aggression begins for the bottom 4 because we have our first cutoff race here in the Cup Series playoffs. Austin Dillon, Shane Van Gisbergen, Alex Bowman, and Josh Berry all on the chopping block heading into the weekend. Remember, after this weekend, the bottom 4 drivers are eliminated. But anything can happen, though. Look at Joey Logano. He was 3 points below the cut line going into Gateway. Now he's 21 points up. SVG, however, needs to figure it out on the ovals fast, or he'll be the first person to win 4 races in a season and be cut after round 1. Of those 4 guys below the cut line right now, who do you see being able to make up the most ground this weekend at Bristol?
Well, when you think about 500 laps at Bristol, we can't forecast a cut tire under green. We can't forecast getting into another driver. You can be leading the race there and get in trouble. But I think just straight up competition, Gabe, I think the 4 going in are going to be the same 4 going out. Honestly, I know the math doesn't show anybody's in a must-win, but no doubt, Josh Berry, Alex Bowman, they're going to have to win. Shane Van Gisbergen, the ovals have not been that good. The one I think we need to keep an eye on is Austin Dillon. But even if he has a solid finish and a solid night, I think he's going to need some help from drivers above the cut line. That 1 or 2 of them are going to have a bad race.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about Alex Bowman. He's one of the guys on the cut line, and his name has really been popping up in more ways than in one. Jeff Gordon and Mr. H really doing everything in their power to make sure he gets to the round of 12, and that means taking 4 pit crew members from Carson Hocevar's 77 team with Spire and actually putting them on the 48. Now, Larry, Bowman needs all the help he can get, and it's tough to pit at Bristol. How do you see this potentially helping him, or maybe, will it have any impact on the races?
Well, it can't get any worse than it was
sure.
the last 2 weeks, but this is a professional sport. We don't want to see anybody replaced, anybody benched, but you have to perform. No different than an offensive line for a football team.
Yeah.
You have to go out there and perform. It has been a disaster for the 48 team. So I think Jeff Gordon, Rick Hendrick, Chad Knaus, Jeff Andrews, they said, you know what? We got to dot every I, we got to cross every T. They supply that 77 pit crew to Spire. They were the second quickest overall for 4-tire stops at St. Louis. It's like, you know what? We got to dot every I and cross every T if we want to advance, because they're going to have solid pit stops, and as I said, they're probably going to have to win this race.
Yeah, anything you can to get all 4 of those cars from the Hendrick camp into the round of 12 and possibly even further. Well, this question could be seen one of 2 ways, Larry. Speaking of Hendrick, what's going on with Kyle Larson? We're not just talking about the incident with Ryan Blaney last week, but we haven't really seen him in victory lane in quite some time. However, the last time we were at Bristol, he did get into victory lane. He's really been all over the place as of late. What do you make of this recent stretch, and how can he rebound this weekend at a track that he's obviously been able to dominate recently?
Yeah, 3 wins. It's hard to believe it's been 4 months. You've got to go all the way back in the spring, that 3rd win at Kansas. I'm seeing speed. They had great speed at St. Louis this past week. Qualified on the outside the front row, led some laps, and then had that rear diffuser flap, and they just never overcame that. But Gabe, you talked about it earlier. This will be the measuring stick for that 5 team, because they have dominated, not only won, but dominated the last 2 races at Bristol.
And when you look at some of the other guys above the cut line that maybe have a little bit of cushion, who do you think, can you see this weekend maybe expanding that lead a little bit going into the round of 12, having a solid day?
Well, I've got a close watch on Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bale. I think they've got a pretty good cushion. That's drivers that's not won at Bristol, but I think they've got the speed. And Christopher Bale, remember, he won 3 of the first 4 races. Yeah. They've had 4 second-place finishes, but I could even hear and see frustration out of Christopher Bale even after that top 10 finish at St. Louis, because his teammates are winning, right, and they're not finding victory lane.
Yeah, very frustrated on the radio after that race. We'll see if they can rebound this weekend. Well, it seems like we've been talking about the Hendrick guys a lot, but not about the regular season champion. So let's change that. Willie B, you ready for Bristol?
We've been pretty good at Bristol, and feel like we've had a good week of preparation. So, yeah, I think we'll be fast there. Just how fast?
Hopefully fast enough to continue to climb in the playoff standings. Coming up in Garage Confidential, William Byron talks Bristol and a special paint scheme for the other cutoff race coming up after this one, the Charlotte Roval. And if you haven't heard, one team is ditching the 4 Dark Horse Mustang for the Chevy Camaro. Who would do that? The answer might shock you. Those details are on deck. And Larry's been talking all afternoon about how he's ready to get back on an Xfinity Series pit box because he knows how to win in that series. But who does he think will take the season in trophy in the second tier series? We'll talk about it when Around the Track continues. Back here on Around the Track, Haas Factory Team is saying adios to the Ford Mustang. Starting next season, the Cups car and both Xfinity entries will now be Chevy Camaros. Not only that, but Haas will also start a technical alliance with Hendrick Motorsports, including using Hendrick-built engines. Larry, what have you heard about this, and what does it make the 41 and 00s contenders in any of the top-tier series making this change next year?
Well, I think we forget Haas CNC Racing, which became Stewart Haas Racing in 2009. Before they swapped the Fords in 2017, they were part of the Chevrolet camp. But Gabe, the only way this works is that alliance with Hendrick Motorsports. They almost have to be on the Cup side a 5th Hendrick Motorsports team as far as resources, information, everything they can gather. And then, of course, another big key is getting the engines from Hendrick Motorsports. That's the only way this works, is the information and resources from that organization.
And one of the guys in that organization on the Xfinity side, Sheldon Creed, obviously everybody knows his stat, the most second-place finishes without a win in that series. How soon do we see him in victory lane? Could that be this weekend maybe?
I think it could be on any given weekend, because when you look at those second-place finishes, Gabe, they have come at a lot of different types of racetracks, intermediates, short tracks, road courses. But I'm kind of like Denny Hamlin winning the championship. I'm not going to say this week or the next week, but I think once that first win comes, I think others will follow.
Definitely going to be a special moment whenever that time comes for Sheldon Creed. Well, speaking of Hendrick, Larry, William Byron continues to have a season that dreams are made of. What do you make of what the regular season champion has been able to do this year?
I'm still a little concerned. You know, they won the Daytona 500, and I go back to last year, Gabe. They won 3 of the first 8 races, and they did not win again, but they pointed their way to the championship 4. They won the Daytona 500. The good news is they got the win at Iowa a few weeks ago. I talked to Chad Knaus. He said the 24 team is just fine, but I still see a little bit up and down. I think it's a good thing they got those 15 playoff points for winning that regular season championship.
Yeah, we'll certainly see if he ends up there in Phoenix fighting for the ultimate prize. But our Casey Funderburg caught up with the driver of the 24 for Hendrick Motorsports in this week's Garage Confidential.
William, today you all unveiled your car for the Roval race, and this car is really special because it was designed by 4 pediatric cancer patients. So when you saw the car, got to see the kids in their fire suits who got to help design it, what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, it's very special to have them design it, and just to be able to meet them in person was really cool today. So it just means a lot to meet them and see their stories and kind of hear their experiences, and also see the joy on their faces just to see, you know, them kind of get a chance to get in the car and stuff like that.
Every week you have a new design, but it's not every week that you have one that is helping another charity or another group of people. In this case, it's Blood Cancer United. So knowing that your car is also hopefully going to make a difference and bring awareness to a really good cause, what does that mean to you to be able to do that?
Yeah, it's very cool. Like, you know, we just go throughout the season. We have so many races and different, you know, you're just on to the next racetrack. You're thinking about the next thing. And this time of year with the playoffs, you're thinking about that. And then to get a chance to have a paint scheme like this and see how it's giving back to this community, but hopefully we can get them out to the race, and it's going to be a very, very cool event to be close by, and hopefully they can come cheer us on.
Well, speaking of the playoffs, you're in it right now. You got Bristol this weekend, and then we've got Kansas, the Roval. Just looking ahead, though, to Bristol this weekend, what do you need to do just to be successful there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we just kind of do what we've been doing, really. We've been pretty good at Bristol, and feel like we've had a good week of preparation. So, yeah, I think we'll be fast there. Just how fast, I don't know, but hopefully just have a solid weekend. That's a really special event too. You know, it's going up there for the night race is a lot of fun.
It also is the end to the first round, and then you guys get to move on. So just being able to focus on that next part of the playoffs, what is your preparation like, just thinking ahead to those races?
Yeah, it's really just week by week, you know, so we just try to hopefully get through Bristol, have a really good race, you know, have a smooth night so we don't have to stress about advancing, and then just go on to, I guess, New Hampshire's the next one. So just think about that next week, but it's nice to have a Saturday night race, kind of have a chance to reset on Sunday and get back going for the next round.
I want to skip ahead to the Roval real quick, where you'll have this car. That's an interesting race that you guys are going to have. You've got, you know, your basic oval and then the road course. So knowing that you're going to get to have this car on a really fun racetrack, what does that mean to you, just being able to kind of combine those things?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, like I said, that race has so much meaning for me personally, being a hometown race, and then I think having this on, you know, the Blood Cancer United paint scheme and having the kids design it, that's so much more meaning. So I think that weekend will have a lot of weight for us already. So I think just go there and just do what we normally do. I feel like we always perform well at Charlotte for whatever reason. I think there's just more incentive. So it just is usually a good weekend for us, and hopefully we can go there and be successful.
All right, well, thank you, and good luck this weekend in Bristol.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Casey. Certainly looking forward to seeing that car at the Roval. Well, Byron did drive a Junior Motorsports car in the past, and he knows why they're so good. In fact, all 4 of its cars are in the Xfinity playoffs, including the prodigy Connor Zilisch. But Justin Allgaier isn't going to give up his title that easy. We're talking Dale Jr.'s guys coming up next. And Joey Gase's car, as of late, has had some pretty cool paint schemes. However, one is calling for all hands on deck. We'll show you what we mean next on Around the Track. Back here on ATT, one of the future stars of the NASCAR Cup Series is staying put in Xfinity for now, and he's staying with his powerhouse team. Sammy Smith will continue to drive that iconic 8 car for Junior Motorsports in 2026. It'll be the 3rd year in a row for Sammy in a car owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's already in the Xfinity Series playoffs, where he's been to the round of 8 now twice. Sammy starts to stretch 4 points above the cut line in 6th place. And speaking of Junior Motorsports, they have more tickets in the Xfinity title lottery than anyone else, including the Golden Goose himself and Connor Zilisch, the reigning champion in Justin Allgaier, Sammy, who we just talked about, and another rookie in Carson Kwapu, who starts on the cut line. Dale Jr. has had some mega full-time talent as well, some Cup drivers notching wins for him this season. And Larry, we want your take, but first, let's hear from the guys themselves in the cars.
I feel like with where we are right now as a team and how fast our cars are, I think that, you know, if everything goes right for all 4 of our drivers, I definitely think that our cars have the speed to make it to the Final Four. And you know, that as a team is pretty impressive and incredible at this point in the year. So,
you know, you never know how these races are going to go. And it wouldn't surprise me to see, you know, 3 new winners in the first round, right? Or 3 different winners in the first round that, you know, could potentially take up those playoff spaces. So I think you have to be mindful of that and to push yourself and to push your team to try to win these races, to try to be in the positions that score the most points, whatever that looks like, right? I think just knowing that you have the points doesn't mean that it's an easy layup.
Now, we heard from Justin and Connor. Is the champion going to be one of those 2 guys in the Xfinity Series?
Well, the numbers show that, but Gabe, no different than Cup. It's getting to Phoenix, and then it's executing and hitting your marks for one race. 4 drivers, 4 teams going head to head to head to head. Yeah, all points show toward Junior Motorsports, one of those 2 drivers, because honestly, the cushion they've got above the cut line, they're definitely good shape for this first round, probably decent shape for the round of 8. But I say when we get to Phoenix, if they can get there, yeah, I know Connor Zilisch is winning everywhere he goes, no matter what type of racetrack, but we know that track at Phoenix, that 1-mile track, is right in Justin Allgaier's wheelhouse.
When you look like a guy like, you know, Sammy or Carson Kvapil, maybe flying under the radar but still having success, realistically, how far do you think the 2 of them could possibly get to?
Well, when I look outside of Connor Zilisch and Justin Allgaier, I mean, you look at the bottom 10 drivers, it's so tight. I mean, it's probably going to jumble up after stage 1 at Bristol this weekend. Yeah, once again, it's not guys, it's knocking those wins out. Sammy Smith has the 1 win. Carson Kvapil still looking for that first career win, but I think those guys just have to be solid, mistake-free, get to Phoenix, and then go from there.
Yeah, Dale Jr. certainly with a strong team. We'll see how things play out in that series. Well, Joey Gase isn't competing for a championship, but the Xfinity Series driver is doing his part to help people extend lives. A special paint scheme that isn't wrapped like most cars are. No, sir. Our friend Luke Davis tells us this one is literally hand-painted.
In a business park right off Hampton, a race car sits in the center of a crowd getting a new paint job. Families gathered around race car driver Joey Gase's vehicle, leaving tributes for their loved ones in remembrance of their altruistic decision in organ and tissue donation.
It's rare to see pictures on the car, and especially handprints and real painted handprints with messages under each of them. So when our fans and the media and even our competitors see that, they ask us why that's on there, and we get to tell them why, which is doing, you know, our mission to raise awareness for organ donation.
Among the handprints and words of love, there are 2 photos, one of Isaac Lashley and the other of Chevy Golf, 2 friends killed in separate auto accidents that both became donors.
It's awesome to know that he's going to go on and change lives. It's hard to know that we have to live without him.
To impact other people's lives and help them have hopefully a longer, fuller life and be able to be with their loved ones and carry on. And it makes me proud to know that our son wanted that and that we were able to honor his wishes.
Mid-America Transplant is sponsoring the car, and they hope people seeing the fresh alterations will recognize the bravery of these local donors.
Each of those handprints represents somebody from this region who had the courage and their family had the courage to say yes to organ, tissue, and eye donation.
And Gase, motivated by his own mother's donation, encourages the public to consider becoming a donor.
My mom helped 66 people directly, but she really helped thousands, you know, from each person's, from their friends or family to maybe somebody that held the door open for that day.
Certainly some incredible stuff. Hats off to Joey for that. Well, one more time out of take, and when we return, the bookmakers are going with the Wiley vets, Larson and Hamlin. But which one is the top dog on the odds board? Got the Victory Lane locks coming up next on Around the Track. All right, here we go. Going into the weekend, Kyle Larson is favored to win his first race since May. Remember, he did win the spring version of this race at Bristol, as well as the Xfinity race. Used us over 2.5 to 1, according to DraftKings, to get it done this weekend. Denny Hamlin already locked into the round at 12. He's next at 4 to 1. Brian Blaney follows both of them at 6 to 1. We haven't heard Christopher Bell's name in a while. He's at 7.5 to 1 to win this weekend. William Byron and Chase Briscoe round out the top 5. They are tied at 10-1 to get into victory lane at the last great Coliseum. Well, one thing left to do, Larry. It's time for our victory lane locks. Who do you have winning Bristol, and who gets eliminated from the playoffs?
Well, we've been talking about Hendrick Motorsports and Kyle Larson. I think a lot of that talk is going to dissipate after Saturday night. Not only has Kyle Larson won the last 2 races there, he's dominated, sweeping the stages, leaving about 87% of the laps. Kyle Larson will get that 4th win of 2025. I said it earlier, I think the bottom 4 going in, it's going to be the bottom 4 coming out.
There's going to be a lot of action this weekend when you think about a lot of guys that are fighting to get into the round of 12. If I was going to make a pick, I would go with Denny Hamlin, a guy looking to go back-to-back and obviously get another win at Bristol as well. We'll, of course, see how things play out this weekend. For Casey Funderburg, Larry McReynolds, I'm Gabe McDonald. Enjoy all the action at Bristol this weekend. We'll see you next week as we get ready for the next round at New Hampshire.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.